I want to fall in love with the problem, not with the solution.
Yep. Welcome to another episode of Connected Conversations in Insurance. My name is Nick Berry. I am the Demand Gen Marketing Manager at Canopy Connect. Today, I've got Roberto Salinas with GAIL, and we're just going to have an interesting conversation, talk about AI and automation, and see where it goes from there. Roberto, go ahead and give yourself a quick intro, and then kind of intro your company, a brief introduction on your company and what you guys do.
Sure. So yeah, like I said, I'm Roberto Salinas, and I'm the head of business development for GAIL. And GAIL is actually an acronym for Generative Artificial Intelligence by Lula. And we kind of burst into the insurance scene or the agency kind of atmosphere earlier this year. The product that we came out to market with was a conversational artificial intelligence made specifically for insurance agencies and heavily regulated industries. The reason that we brought this to market was because we were trying to solve a problem that we had internally. So, Nick, to give you a little bit of context, Lula, which was our parent company, we were a startup. We started creating insurance programs and risk mitigation tools for small and medium sized businesses in the commercial auto space. Think of your local mom and pop car rental agency. That was our customer.
Yep.
What we didn't know when we first started the business was that it was an extremely underserved market because renting vehicles is very high risk. There's not that many insurers out there that want to take on that risk. So it was basically impossible to start a car rental agency. So we started providing risk mitigation tools like paperless claims, background check tools for people that would rent the cars out. And that got us to around 100 customers. Those 100 customers started telling us like, hey, we manage a lot of the things regarding our insurance through you guys. Could we potentially procure insurance through you as well? And that's when we were like, sure, let's start a little insurance agency. And that really ballooned quickly. In around 18 months, we grew 50x. So we went from 100 customers to 5,000. And the main issue there was we just didn't have enough people in house to speak to our customers when they needed us. So we missed around 60,000 phone calls in the lapse of 12 months. And that's where the inspiration for GAIL came up. And ever since then, we haven't looked back. We sold the insurance portion of our business and we focused solely on developing this AI for insurance agencies. So that's kind of like our background.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So many startups get into this space, not into the insurance space, but just startups in general. Just from my experience, is they go, "Hey, this is the thing we're going to do," and they get so emotionally attached they cannot pivot and separate what the problem is that they can really solve
Yeah,
based on the team.
yeah, no, you bring up a great point. One thing that I always try to like be very focused on is I want to fall in love with the problem, not with the solution.
Yep.
And you see it all the time with different companies. They really want their solution to work, so they get tunnel vision and they can't see all of these opportunities that are, flying by because
Yep.
they're so obsessed with making their solution work. And that's not to say that their solution might be brilliant. It very well could be, but there's a variety of reasons why the market might not be ready or the tech might not be ready, or there's many reasons on why it might not be working out for them.
No, you're completely right. I mean, think about it. Of all the startups, all the unicorn startups that exist out there, the Fangs, Ubers, and DoorDash and everything, for every DoorDash, there's 100 other ones that tried to solve the same problem before. But
Yeah.
it wasn't the product, it wasn't even the solution. Most of the time, it's the team.
Oh yeah. So the I was actually reading about Uber, brought it up the other day, and a little fun fact. You know that Lyft had a 1 year head start on Uber. Yet the first rideshare that I ever took in my life was Uber. I didn't hear about Lyft until like a year and a half later.
Yep.
The reason for that is because Uber was just a bunch of literal maniacs working together on a singular problem. And
Yep.
when I say maniacs, I mean it in all senses of the word. There's been movies made out of it at this point. There's books written about it. These guys would, I think, that they would have to ask for permission to not work weekends. That's the level of obsession that they had with getting ahead.
Yep.
That allows you to become, 10% better than everybody else. And that 10% is all that's needed, really, to kind of bring a company forward. So, I mean, positioning is everything as well.
Yep. Yep. Now let's talk about GAIL. I have been a huge fan of what you guys are doing.
Thank
Like,
you.
I'm a huge proponent of AI tools. The first time I saw GAIL, I literally told an insurance agent, said, "This is gonna change how agencies do business."
Thank you. That's flattering and scary at the same time.
It is. I mean, well, and when I was at when the first time I heard about Canopy Connect, I was at another company when they launched, and I saw it, and I was like, "This is a Canopy is a this is a tool that agents would be dumb not to have." And
Yeah,
it's same thing with GAIL, like, the ability for an AI model to A and I've demoed it, and I've seen
yeah,
the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh, no. This is creepy." Good in a good way, but I
yeah.
was like, I didn't even know I was talking to an AI tool. And for the AI tool to extract data and deliver it.
It's nuts. Yeah, and I mean, the first thing that I thought about when we were building up Gale is, hey, people are going to be super scared that we're replacing them, that AI is going to come after their jobs. And I think that that's because we've been kind of programmed from a young age to look at artificial intelligence in a negative light.
Yep.
Think about like all of the media that we've been exposed to throughout our lives.
I wrote
Yeah, iRobot, Terminator,
yeah.
right? It's always like, oh my god, AI like just rebels and comes again, like comes for us.
Mhm.
And it's very entertaining, but it's very, very far from reality.
Yep.
So part of what we've had to do is really focus on educating the customer that we're not here to replace. We're not even here to disrupt. We're here to augment.
Mhm.
We're an enabler of small and medium sized businesses because I promise you, all of the carriers out there that are trying to do direct distribution, they're looking into tools like Gale. They're looking at building it in house,
Yep.
right? Because it represents cost savings for them, and
Yep.
that's very important. And what we've done is we've focused on enabling small and medium sized businesses to benefit from the same technologies that were previously reserved for billion-dollar companies.
Yep.
The more I started thinking about that particular narrative, the more I realized this makes so much sense.
Yep.
The other issue being faced in the insurance industry today is that we're approaching a mass exodus of insurance professionals. You know,
It's not just the mass exodus. There is not like, we're at in the United States, we're at peak employment.
yeah,
Yet we are at the point to where everybody who wants a job has a job. Everybody who needs a job
exactly.
can get a job.
Yeah,
And with that, that's gonna just drive up salaries. How
it's
it works.
simple supply and demand, right?
Even companies like the VA companies, the VE companies, they're struggling to find staffing in places like Manila, Puerto Rico, and Central and South America, and other English second language countries
Yeah,
with a high English speaking population. Those companies are even starting to struggle to find staff.
yeah. I mean, and the need for human capital is always going to be there,
Yep.
and that's why I'm really trying to focus on it becoming a tool, much like Canopy Connect, it becoming a tool that allows you to do more with the same resources that you have now.
Yep.
That's really how I think automation in general should be. Automation shouldn't be a replacement, it should be an augmentation. It should be something that allows you to be more efficient, to do more with your time. At the end of the day, time is the only resource that we can't get back. You know, you can spend $100, you can make it back tomorrow. But if you spend a day working on something, that time is gone.
Yep.
So that's where automation can really, really make an impact.
Yep. There's like your licensed professionals should not be spending time doing intake, doing quote intake.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
should
Like
be they
your
should be
licensed professionals should be doing something that they're licensed to do,
Mhm.
right? That's
Intake is
that's
not a
their
licensed activity. I've
exactly.
been seeing that for years.
Yeah. You know, answering when your business hours are on an inbound call is not something that requires a licensed professional.
Yep. Now
You
I
know,
have this crazy idea, but I'm a huge proponent of the Google click to call advertising
okay.
campaigns. Has anybody built out a GAIL inbound caller to handle and process those click to call campaigns?
You know, I'd have to check.
Because the biggest issue I've had with when I help agencies with those things is you can only run the ads during the times your company is open because you
Mhm.
have to pick up the phone and you have to get that quote intake started.
You know,
But if you could
the
do
thing
that.
is, I'd love to do that, and I'm gonna start. I already have a couple of agencies in mind that I'm gonna pitch that idea to,
Mhm.
because it would be a fascinating case study,
Yep.
honestly. And the thing that I've seen is that there's still a lot of fear
Mhm.
in the market, especially with the insurance folk who intrinsically are risk adverse.
Mhm.
You know, dealing with risk all day, you want to you want to avoid it. So from how do I say this? An adoption standpoint of technology adoption standpoint, insurance agencies and insurance professionals tend to be on the latter side of it. So
Yep.
that there are people that allow other people to take that risk and kind of try it out and figure out the kinks before they adopt that technology. That being said, there are some extremely tech forward agencies out there,
Yep.
extremely tech forward. So I'm going to pitch that idea. I'll get back to you on that because you know, I love that idea.
I've even talked to agents. I'd be like, "Hey, listen, so Canopy Connect, we've got the deck page intake with
Mm,
either logging in or uploading, and then also the form flows, which we just released this year." I was talking to an agency. I said, "Hey, listen, you can have multiple paths here where you use Canopy, use the form flow or the deck page, or direct them to a Gale intake.
mm,
So ask the same questions for the
yeah,
people if an agency said, "Hey, go click this link and go fill out 46 questions," I was like, "No way. Absolutely not."
yeah. No, I mean,
I'd be like, "No way."
the craziest part is that it also depends on the demographic that you're speaking to. And us as tech providers, we're like, I'm sure that you guys are doing some kind of study on it in no sense of a word, right? Like, what kind of intake works best for what demographic to increase the amount of conversions at the end of the day.
Yep.
So, eventually, we're going to be able to provide all of that information to the agencies. So we're going to say, okay, we might be 50% sure that this person is between the ages of 18 and 35. They like to do things online without speaking to anybody.
Mhm.
Boom. You know, like
Give them this rep.
we're 90% sure that this person is over the age of 50. Give them a call. They like to talk things out, right? And all of that can be automated.
Mhm.
And even if that increases, you know, your conversion by 3, 5%, that compounds over time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So
that's the thing, like, incre I'm as a marketer,
yeah,
I'm more concerned with 3% than a 50% increase because a 50% increase means I broke something somewhere.
Yeah.
3% increase means I can find that and
Mhm.
tweak it, but if it's a big jump, it's like something's broken somewhere,
Yeah,
but
and
now
it's
it's nowhere.
unsustainable.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
a 3% increase, that's something that you can see how you're getting there.
that's the
Um,
Warren Buffett effect. You
exactly.
ask Warren Buffett, how does he make investments? The things that pay him 3%
But
every
he knows that he's gonna get paid that
Yep,
3%, right?
yep,
So no, yeah, I completely agree with you. It shouldn't even be like 3% in a very short period of time.
no,
Because if
yep,
you look at like 1% a day, that's
mhm,
crazy. Like
yep,
if you're doing 1% a day, they were saying like, yeah, with our trading algorithm, you're gonna make around 10% a week on your investment, guaranteed. And I thought to myself, well, that doesn't really check out. Like, let me just run the math there.
mhm,
And I think it was like within like 6 months, they would have had the entire liquidity of the planet, if they were making like 10% a week. So even like during a short period of time, you need to like really put it into context,
yep.
right?
Yeah, 1% a day increase is a 600% increase by the end of the year.
Yeah, because it compounds,
Yep.
right? That being said, if you can figure out how to do a 1% increase a day, that's you're a billionaire within two
Well,
years.
and the biggest thing, and this is a like I said, I'm a huge proponent of AI. If you can
Yeah,
enable your team to improve 1 to 3 calls a day, or improve 1 to 3 intakes, or improve those things, or increase your capacity by 3% every single day, it adds up. And then same thing with marketing content. I tell agents all the time, if you produce 52 blogs a year, 1 blog post a week, at the end of that year, you will not only have 52 blog posts, your traffic will probably increase by 2 to 300%, which gives you more at bats. So if you can give your team more at bats through any method possible, take it all day long.
yeah. No, and then, there's so much that can be done. Those blog posts, I mean, I'm personally a proponent that they do need to have a personal touch, so I wouldn't recommend anybody to automate it.
Right.
What you can automate very easily is the intake and the tracking from those channels. So at the end of the day, I think it's about embracing what's out there and realizing that it's not here to disrupt things as they've been. It's here to augment your day to day operations. And yeah, maybe it'll look a little bit different than it was before. But hey, imagine what the world was like before smartphones, for example. I
I don't like it.
I was a little too young for that, but like it's almost incomprehensible how much more efficient we are today.
Yep.
And that's going to continue to happen.
Well, in a previous career, I was an
Sure.
IT manager for a company that owned a bunch of injection molding factories.
Sure.
When I was there, they just started bringing robotics into the company,
Hmm.
and all of the people on the floor were freaked out. Like
Yeah.
robots, like Iron Man.
Yeah.
They were just starting to get these. Like, they were putting them in the CNC area and the machining area, and then they started bringing them into the actual injection molding part of the factory, and everybody was freaked out. "Oh, it's gonna replace me." Well, the robots, and this was 10, 12 years ago, so the robots were very in their infancy, but instead of replacing people, all they did was take out all the parts of the job that were dangerous, all the parts of the job that people hated doing, that they couldn't keep staff and in those positions, and then the staff who were there and they could hire for, their job got better, their job got safer, their life got better because they didn't have to reach into the machine to grab anything. The robot was doing it. They didn't have to do the trimming because the robot was able to do it. So the company saved tens of thousands of dollars in each facility on their work comp claims because they implemented this robotics, which meant they could protect all the employees. And then same thing, like with automation, with AI, with Canopy Connect. Canopy Connect doesn't replace a licensed conversation. It supplements it. Same thing with GAIL. I see the same opportunity. If you have somebody who doesn't want to use Canopy Connect, be like, great, let's schedule a phone call or click here to
Yeah.
call this intake specialist.
Artificial intelligence is not like this new thing
Yep.
that just came out, right? If anybody has seen the movie The Imitation Game,
Hmm.
that was technically the first AI
Yep.
that was ever created, because an AI is simply a computer program with the ability to perform tasks commonly associated with human intelligence. Um, so that can be something as simple as waking you up with an alarm clock at 7:30 in the morning.
Hmm.
That's technically AI.
Or
Uh,
your calendar going, hey, you have these meetings. We're going to set an
Literally
automation up based on my calendar events.
anything that is typically associated with human intelligence is artificial intelligence.
Yep.
So we've all been using it for most of our lives. AI
Right.
has been there, and it's had an effect on your life.
Yep.
Like from the media that we're exposed to, from the tasks that we do, from the things that we learn, AI is there and in a positive way. I'm fully convinced that because of this technological innovation that's happened in the last 10 years, quality of life overall around the world is the best that it has ever been
Yep.
for anybody.
Yep.
So,
No, I completely agree. Yeah, we're coming up on about 30 minutes, and that's a good place to wrap it up. Roberto, if anybody wants to connect with you or they want to connect with Gail, what is the best place for them to connect with you? Or
sure. So you can go to meetgail.com, meetgail.com. And we've got a cute little landing page there that'll show you all about our solution. You can have Gail give you a call there. You can talk to it yourself. If you want to message me personally, my email is uh, tito@lula.com. Tito is a nickname that I have. And that's spelled out TITO@LULA.com.
I appreciate your time, appreciate you booking a call with me and
Absolutely.
connecting.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.